Ellen told the world she was kind. Ricky Gervais is saying something different. According to him, Ellen is not a villain behind the scenes. She may even have had a deal with none other than Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's #1 collaborator. Now, while this is something he hinted at several years ago, we now have more reason to believe that Ellen was involved with Ghislaine Maxwell, as she has long been proven to have had a deep connection to the American media, particularly the world of entertainment.
She is a monster. She's worse than Epstein. She did things even worse than Epstein did. She was vicious, she was evil, and she was a woman.
Her lawyers have said Ghislaine Maxwell is not a Jeffrey Epstein, that she has been a victim of media spin.
They're doing their job, but I know that woman. I've known her really well. Put it this way. Epstein was Pinocchio and she was Geppetto. She was the guy controlling
the strings.
Jeffrey. Yep, she was pulling the strings. She had his money, he had her contacts, but Ghislaine was much more conniving and smart than Epstein ever was.
We know Ellen's name does appear in the broader collection of Epstein-related documents that include hundreds of public figures. Over the past year, viral videos and online posts have claimed that Ellen's name appears dozens or even hundreds of times in the documents. One particular reason Ellen keeps getting pulled into these conversations is something surprisingly ordinary. Pizza. If you've spent any time on conspiracy-focused corners of the internet, you've probably seen people trying to connect pizza references to secret meanings. Those theories have circulated online for years, and now they seem to have even more credence to them. According to many online,
the babies, the code words in the emails, literal emails of Epstein and Bill Gates. Like, these are known entities starting to talk about jerky. And then they're talking about the intestines of babies. They're talking about cream cheese. Like, I welcome anyone to prove me wrong, because I hope to fucking hell this is not true. But when we mentioned jerky, that was the more elite meat is what I'm interpreting this as. There were emails from people, redacted names again, saying, hey, I have 68 pounds of jerky in my freezer. I'm not sure what to do with it. There were emails of, I need more jerky. I'm going to send it to the lab. When he knew they were coming after him, they knew they were going to come arrest him. He ordered 330 gallons of sulfuric acid, which is
what?
Which is how you would dispose of babies. And there are mentions, and now Congress is actually speaking about it. They did this week, spoke about Zora Ranch and how there's so many mentions of bury them in Zora Ranch, leave them in Zora Ranch. And now that's 7,000 acres of land that Jeffrey Epstein owns in New Mexico. And it's actively working right now. And then just to add to that, the chef that was making the jerky, that was sending recipes, that was on the island, was Francis Derby.
Who's that?
Francis Derby owns the restaurant Cannibal.
What?
Yes.
Wait, there's a restaurant called Cannibal?
Cannibal and Cooking.
Is it actual? No, it can't be. That'd be illegal. He'd be shut down.
But is it so tongue-in-cheek? Did they think they were so fucking smart that they could go that far?
Even so, internet detectives started revisiting old Ellen clips through that lens. In addition to this, a child guest who was featured on the show once revealed that he spotted Ellen doing something that made absolutely no sense on paper. He claimed that Ellen ate a whole rotisserie chicken in one gulp.
We've been hearing a lot of scary about Ellen DeGeneres since the pandemic hit. And anytime somebody mentions her name as something that sounds like a conspiracy, most likely people are going to believe it. So a man is claiming that when he was a kid, he was a guest on Ellen DeGeneres' show. And while he was there, he seen her do some unhuman, scary shit. So this man was a child prodigy chess player. He was a guest on Ellen DeGeneres' show. He said he did the show and everything went well. But when he got off set, he seen something that he never thought he would ever see in his life. He said he came off set, looked to his right, and saw that Ellen DeGeneres' dressing room was cracked open just a little bit. He saw her in there, and what he saw scared him for the rest of his life. He said Ellen was eating a chicken, a rotisserie chicken. But it wasn't that she was eating a chicken, it was how she was eating the chicken. He said he saw Ellen DeGeneres dislocate her whole jaw, open her mouth as wide as it can go, and stuff the whole chicken in her mouth. You heard what I just said? This man said he saw Ellen DeGeneres open her mouth as wide as she can, dislocate her jaw, and stuff a rotisserie chicken in her mouth and swallowed it. One gulp. Then she looked at him and she made a hissing sound. You know what that means, right? Of course, after seeing that, he had to be scared. He ran to his dressing room, told his mother, and his mother didn't believe him. Sound crazy.
So, the rumors do say there was more happening on Ellen's set and in her personal life than she ever let on. We've talked about that at length in previous videos already, but what exactly was her relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell? Well, we know Ghislaine had a lot of connections in the American and British media thanks to her father, Robert Maxwell.
If you grew up in the US, you were about to question your entire worldview. It turns out that the founder of McGraw-Hill is Ghislaine Maxwell's dad. If you forgot about McGraw-Hill, well, it's the company that produced all of your textbooks from elementary through high school. Maxwell's goal with McGraw-Hill was to dominate the entire US education market, which they did. But what you should know is that Maxwell was infamous for sneaking Israeli spy software into governments and financial institutions around the world. Most notably, he allegedly had snuck the software called PRISM into Los Alamos, where the US was developing the nuclear bomb. The British government believed that Robert was part of Mossad and had him classified as a double, if not triple agent. Robert Maxwell also owned a massive publication called the Daily Mirror, which had direct ties to the Israeli government. They even ratted out one of the informants to the Israeli government, which ultimately had that individual kidnapped, taken to Israel, and imprisoned for 18 years. We all know that Robert's daughter, Ghislaine, is sitting in prison right now for one of the most horrific operations in human history. And Robert also pulled off one of the biggest corporate frauds ever recorded in history. He had stolen almost $500 million in his employees' pension funds to maintain political power and fund his businesses, which collapsed after he died. I'm gonna wrap this video by reminding you once more, he was the owner of McGraw-Hill, the textbooks that you and I learned everything about the world from.
Just how, mainly how Ghislaine got so enmeshed in New York society and also, teamed up with Epstein in that same period of time. So, all of this matters, and these connections are significant because this baton passing shows that this is a generational thing. And in the case of Maxwell, Robert Maxwell's children, at least the ones that were close to him, because you have two that sort of splintered off from the larger Maxwell clan, but are very open that, after he died, they were trying to figure out how to rebuild his empire and using his Rolodex of contacts to rebuild that. And they did, in doing so, you have Ian and Kevin doing all this interesting financial stuff after, their father's death. And then the twins, Isabel and Christine, make this search engine company and get involved with Microsoft and Bill Gates and all this stuff back in the 90s. And Ghislaine Maxwell was reportedly involved in that too. And then also very involved with Epstein and all sorts of other things, and eventually becomes one of the main people at the UN developing sustainable development policy for the world's oceans.
This unsurprisingly led Ghislaine to have a lot of close connections to some of the most powerful people in the world. While there is no direct evidence of Ellen and Ghislaine having worked together, we do know they operated in the same circles. Ghislaine was extremely close to the likes of Weinstein and Epstein, and Ellen was close with Weinstein, Diddy, Bush. We know there was overlap. What makes this compelling are the parallels with how Ellen and Epstein operated, almost as if they were following the same plan. A plan that came from the same playbook. Take He, for example. She was Ellen's ex-girlfriend who was beginning to expose Ellen a few years ago.
Anne Heche explained how she was silenced by Ellen DeGeneres. Right before Anne Heche passed away, after 20 years, she finally started exposing the truth about what happened between her and Ellen. In the early 2000s, on the same day that Ellen and Anne broke up, it was reported all over the news stations that Anne had a nervous breakdown and she was actually hospitalized. And finally, after 20 years, Anne Heche said in this interview that Ellen was trying to silence her and she was actually the one that put her into the mental institution. She also explained how Ellen had her blackballed from Hollywood and pretty much ruined her career. And a lot of people found it really suspicious that Anne Heche started talking about it and how when you catch wind of it, you basically have to separate yourself, and how basically that we've all been lied to for years. And Anne Heche actually did 2 interviews on Ellen, and each time they were getting deeper and deeper and she was revealing more and more information. And a lot of people thought that Anne Heche was actually getting ready to expose Ellen for being involved in trafficking. And honestly, this doesn't surprise me because who Ellen surrounds herself with, but even Oprah was brought up in this interview with Anne Heche. They talked about how Oprah actually cut Anne Heche out of the 20th year anniversary celebration of Ellen coming out when Anne Heche was actually in here with Ellen, because Anne Heche is the one that started Ellen's coming out journey.
And made it clear that Ellen was not the person everyone thought she was. She was incredibly materialistic and controlling.
And hopefully I have some more intelligence, I know I do, around it because I've studied it to be able to communicate a little bit better about what happened 20 years ago and the fact that it's taken us 20 years to be able to be at a point where we can listen to the truth again.
And Ellen's fine. She can sit on her pile of money.
I hope you like your money, because that's why I broke up with you. Do you like sitting on your piles of cash? Because guess what? It gets you exactly where you are. And by the way, baby, and it's what you wanted then, and I hope you're liking it now. Cheers.
You broke up with her because she had a lot of money, or you broke up with her because...
I broke up with her because her goal was to have a lot of money, and mine was to find love, and hers was I want 60 billion. Good luck. Our forks are never going to meet. The further we stay on with this, the further we will be apart.
Okay. She didn't live in that love and kindness,
No,
did she?
she didn't. But you and I don't talk about
she wasn't a dick.
Revenge a lot,
No, we don't. There's one thing that I remember. There is one little nugget that I do have a sense of wanting a little bit of. I guess the only word is revenge. I feel that you were so wronged. And now to know that you were continuing to be wronged, it fires me up a little bit. And especially, look, when you look at somebody like Ellen, who literally is sitting on a pile of $60 billion and then
could feed countries,
right? And then
but you got a Porsche.
I mean, you're not hurting. You live beautifully.
Wait, that's really funny. I just noticed that. Sorry, I have to put a pin in it. But I realized that Ellen drove a Porsche.
I want a Porsche. Well, she's not going to give me a Porsche now.
Culture and then she married one.
Not long after this interview, Anne Heche was seen driving extremely erratically before a fatal crash in LA. She was pronounced dead on the scene, but people who were filming the scene of her crash saw something very different. The footage made it very obvious that the authorities were trying to hide something.
By understanding how human trafficking really works, you can make a difference in the life of someone at risk.
Ambulance, that's some sort of sign, but yes. So basically the activity that we were looking for, that anxious or that quick moving, that was going on the other side of the vehicle. Oh my gosh, he's completely alive.
What the hell?
In May 2002, the Ellen DeGeneres show was canceled, and then 2 months later, Anne Heche, Ellen's ex-girlfriend, was in a really bad car accident where she flew her Mini Cooper into someone's house and it caught fire. And what has never sat right with me is the cross comparison between the coroner's report and the actual aerial footage. The coroner's report says that she was unconscious until her death, after just from smoke inhalation and from being brain dead from the fumes in her brain. But if you look at the footage, she sits straight up, and that takes a conscious effort, I feel, but I'm not a scientist. I mean, I'm not a doctor. But the other thing is her other host, her co-host Twitch, died 4 months after that. And I just think that that's a suspicious amount of close people around you dying in weird ways.
Many people believe Ellen had something to do with Anne's death, especially considering the fact that she was preparing to pull back the curtain on her former flame's alleged crimes. In the very same vein, Ghislaine and Epstein were also known for silencing their victims. Virginia, for example, is known to be one of their most high-profile victims. She was suspiciously found dead after exposing Epstein, Ghislaine, and Prince Andrew.
Virginia Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew's accused her dead at 41 by suicide. She who accused Epstein and Prince Andrew of when she was underage died at 41 near Gabby, Australia, with her family stating, "It is with utterly broken hearts that we announced that Virginia passed away last night at her farm in Western Australia," adding she lost her life to suicide after being a lifelong victim of abuse and trafficking. She filed a lawsuit against Prince Andrew in 2021, claiming she was forced to have sex with him 3 times between 1999 and 2002 when she was underage. Allegations he has denied. She was a prominent accuser of Epstein who died by in 2019 in a New York City jail cell after federal charges, and his girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, who recruited Virginia at 16 years old to work for Epstein. Viva, what do you know about the story?
So the picture on the left is a picture that she posted it to Instagram saying, I've been involved in a bus accident and I have 5 days to live, renal failure or something. And the internet was looking at it and doing like CGI or AI comparisons and determining that the injury, I was saying it could be, if it's kidney failure, renal failure, you could turn jaundice or whatever. They determined that picture was likely makeup. Within a couple of days, she then takes to publicly post, sorry, I posted something private publicly by accident, that being I have 5 days to live. Because what happened is people went into it, looked in and said there was a minor fender bender somewhere in Australia. A bus hit the back of her car. It makes no sense that she's now saying she's got 5 days to live because of the injuries, because no injuries were reported. Then she comes out publicly and says, it was intended to be a private message. My excuse, thank
Again?
you. No, just on that, I have 5 days to live. And then a month later, or 3 weeks later, she's dead by nothing about this story makes any sense whatsoever, any more than I'm expected to believe that Epstein himself. She also previously had tweeted, if ever I'm not suicidal, although I think whenever someone takes to social media to say that unironically there's something going on, she posted a while back, I'm not suicidal, here you go, making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. I have made this known to my therapist and GP, I think the general practitioner. If something happens to me in the sake of my family, do not let this go away and help me to protect them. Too many evil people. Dude, we were on the cusp of Epstein documents being released, seeing clients on that list.
Similarly, celebrities that tried to expose Ellen have suffered immensely, and her career is littered with the bodies of those that tried to oppose her. Sometimes these deaths are labeled as accidents, while other times it's called aid. 2 months after The Ellen Show ended, Stephen Twitch Boss, executive producer of The Ellen Show, ended his life and left a note. Several investigative journalists have said that in this note, Stephen pointed at Ellen as being the cause of his death.
On Wednesday, news broke that Stephen Twitch Boss died from a self-inflicted wound. And now, ET has learned that the former Ellen Show DJ left a note behind, indicating that he couldn't go on. ET confirmed that on Monday, Twitch checked into the Oak Tree Inn in Encino, California, a motel less than a mile from his home. When he didn't check out at 11 a.m. on Tuesday morning, housekeeping and management knocked on his door repeatedly before opening the door and calling the police. Twitch's death was also confirmed by his wife, Allison Holker, in a statement to ET, where she reflected on her husband's life and legacy, writing that he lit up every room he stepped into. Quote, he valued family, friends, and community above all else, and leading with love and light was everything to him.
I have the sweetest husband in the entire world.
Allison concluded her emotional statement with one final message.
While the evidence connecting Ellen to Epstein is circumstantial and she may never admit to anything herself, many have speculated that we may actually see her exposed in the new Epstein files that dropped today.
Epstein's secret emails are set to be unredacted and released today. One of your top DC daily headlines for July 2. Epstein files, we're set to see another batch of unredacted files today, including 8 secret emails, both to and from Epstein, about a reported torture video. Well, President Trump's acting attorney general was told by a federal judge last month that the unredacted files must be released by today or submit a reason for cause showing why he can't.
There's also another theory online linking Ellen and Epstein. If you compare the set of Ellen's show to Epstein Island, some fans believe that the set of Ellen's show was modeled after a temple on Epstein's island.
Did you know that Ellen DeGeneres' stage set is exactly the same as on Epstein Island, with all the couches, the same colour, the same soft furnishings, palm trees, window, everything to the T? And I'm like,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh.
Hey, we're getting some up now.
Getting some up now on our screen?
Yeah, there's palm trees. You're right.
But look at the backdrop behind her, striped building.
No, Emma, there's
palm
nothing
trees.
to see here.
So don't berate her.
I'm not berating, I'm just saying.
I'm going to look further.
Symbolism will be their downfall. Or is it just art? And let me be the first to tell you, it's all connected.
I mean, if you know, you know. But first, let's go back to that video of Ellen DeGeneres. When the camera turns, you can see the inside of her house. Now, see that picture right there? Well, if you pause it and look it up, it says evil thoughts with revenge right next to it. Here's another picture of Ellen in her house, and this is the picture behind her. Now, the thing I'm curious about is the letters on top of the picture. These look oddly similar to the letters Marina Abramovich writes out when she does spirit cooking. Remember the beginning of the video? It's all connected. And that person that was in all red is Lady Gaga, and she went to Marina Abramovich many times for teaching. But let's continue. This is another picture of Ellen in her home. She's cutting her mother's hair, but what is that picture above her head?
And this is where we come full circle. We know Ricky was talking about people in that very room when he said Epstein was friends with them. Ellen also happened to be wearing a very manufactured smile when he said that. Will we see more news come to light soon? Stay tuned.